I am ready whenever you are.
Women's education in Pakistan. This is our background in the Pakistani government. According to the Wasan, Pakistan has oppressed women for all around the sort of time that they've been there due to the fact that their ideology and tribal laws and the Taliban, the extremists, usually enforce that due to the fact that they just believe that their ideology is right and normal.
Yeah, and that leads into our next point, which is culture and religion. So culture plays a big part in how people think in this society, and that is evidenced by an UNESCO study, which is a subsidiary of the UN, where 21% of women are actually married before they're even 18. So all those women who are married, it's very common in Pakistan for you to stay home, you have to take care of the kids, you have to take care of the house. So all those women aren't getting education, they're staying at home. And then why is this in place? It's largely because of the Taliban. Now the Taliban is an organization that pushes these agendas of religious ideals, and that's shown when in Malala's book, who is a women's rights activist in Pakistan, she actually had to deal with the Taliban oppression like firsthand, and someone actually went to her father's school and told him that he needed to take down the entire school. Like, he can't have any women there, he can't have any women there at all, otherwise it has to be shut down.
Okay, so to add on the background for Malala Yousafzai, she pretty much expressed her activist opinions in her novel, and she kind of stated a couple things, like if people were silent, nothing would change, because she did a ton of things to make a change in Pakistan. And she also said education is our right, just as it is our right to sing. Islam has given us the right and say every boy and girl should go to school. Pretty much that nobody should take away your natural rights and that they're given.
And the UN reports recently, September 30th, there was a terrorist attack according to the United Nations reports that 57 were killed due to the fact there was a suicide bomber from a certain terrorist organization group that believed in the Sunni Islamic conservative ideologies.
Okay, and then the last thing for the future of women in education, women live in constant fear because they never know what's next in their education-wise. So pretty much stated in a Washington Post article, a student who attends a university in Pakistan just kind of stated like all she can see ahead of her is a dark future because she never knows what's coming next because the Taliban is just always on them. And also some facts, 65.8% of women's education is less than intermediate in Pakistan, and this was a study done in Pakistan, and it was expressed by Sana Munir, and she's a student majoring at Boston University. So this leads into solution one. Our first solution is the Pakistan government is creating and enforcing their laws against women discrimination.
And now no solution is perfect, so of course there's some limitations. First of all, there's the government, and the limitation of the government itself is actually that they don't even believe in some of these laws, they don't even want to implement these laws at all. And that might be because of the Taliban, who almost force them to, if they go against them, they'll be heavily criticized. And then this leads into our implications that women in education are definitely implicated. So they'll gain more access to education, definitely higher education, and most women should receive some basic education. And then lastly, we have the government officials, of course, who are targeted by the Taliban after they would have passed these laws. Because if they pass the laws, the Taliban realize, hey, we need to get rid of these guys, and they'll do like they did to Malala.
Okay, so for pros and cons, if we're enforcing laws that the government wants to get women education, it creates equality for men and women. And then this also creates a stronger government in a sense because if we put women in education, that gets them into the workforce. And if women are in the workforce, it creates a stronger economy for Pakistan, which also ends up creating a stronger government in the long run. But the cons is Taliban fight back because the Taliban obviously has a problem with women in schools to begin with, so they're not going to really agree with enforcing women in schools. And then the cons would be male dominance. The government is made up of males, and their Islamic culture practices male dominance in all households and everything. So pretty much if the whole government is made up of males, they're not going to want the women in schools either.
This is a solution to outside financial aid for Pakistani co-education schools. According to USAID, a government-funded agency, they've actually used their funding from foreign aid to thus further the education of women and employ more applicable jobs for them, so that's further their economy. And like Gracie said, it'll help the agricultural aspects and the economy growth, and just further the just bettering of the country.
Okay, and of course our limitations are UN funding. First of all, we believe that if some agency were to step in and help these people out, it would most likely be the UN. And it is hard to get the funding in the first place, since this is a big, almost tribunal of different governments. And then next we have the Taliban. The Taliban will see that these schools are going into place in their country, and they don't like that. They might push back, as they've shown to in the past, where they'll bomb schools, they'll attack people, such as in Malala's book, some woman was actually attacked just for going to school, and she got thrown acid in her face. And on to the implications, there's local government. The local government might see this, and they didn't want these laws in the first place, so they'll try and push back, and they'll realize, hey, we don't want this. And then for the economy will be greatly impacted. After women go through the entire educational process, they're more likely to be a part of the workforce, and that'll jumpstart the economy and get it out of the place it isn't today.
And with our pros, with more advanced curriculum, it's going to help the economy much more, because with more educated people, it's proven that the economy is going to grow, like such as the United States when curriculum was added to. And cons funded by foreign taxpayers, a con would be that maybe a foreigner, like let's say a United States citizen, wouldn't want to use their tax dollars that they created to thus to aid another country. And with the Taliban pushback, a con that Pakistan would have to go through is an offensive play to combat these terrorists, using actual weapons and whatnot, and there would be casualties of innocents. But with that, you're going to have to do that to get your pros.
And thank y'all for listening.
Okay, so let's answer a few questions here. Gracie, how did the group decide to include Hayden's perspective, his lens or conclusion, into the overall presentation?
Okay, so we used Hayden's perspective. He did the government perspective of everything, and pretty much he talked about in his paper how corrupt the Pakistani government is, by kind of including things of like foreign aid, how they get that a lot, and also border control. So that kind of plays into both solutions actually on his government perspective that he used. He also talked about methods practiced by the Islamic culture and everything like that. So we tied that into both of our solutions because they both involve the government.
All right, thank you. Hayden, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem your group identified?
I have to say Isaac's, due to the fact that the quantitative data was used. It was more explanative, like it elaborated more on the subject, and with that, it just made a lot more sense to actually communicate to the actual presentation we just presented to you.
All right, Isaac, what is an example of a compelling argument from one of your peers' individual reports that you decided to exclude from the team presentation, and why?
Yeah, so in our first solution, we mentioned how we want to add discrimination rights across the board, but we didn't mention what those could be. We didn't give any examples because we didn't think it was necessary for women's education specifically. So I remember in Gracie's paper, she highlighted that the Taliban actually made you wrap your head if you're a woman, and you couldn't even leave your house without a man assisting you. So we didn't include that at all. We didn't say that we want that to be changed, but although we do, it just wasn't important to our overall presentation.
All right, thank you all very much.